Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahmam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmacharya Paryandam Vande Guru Parampara. Sakana Vabdu, Sakana Upanaktu, Sakaviryam Karabhavakai, Tejasvina Vadita Mustumavat Vishavake. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. योगेन चित्तस्य पतेन वाचां मलं शरीरस्य च वैद्यकेन योगा करोत्तमं प्रवरं मुनीनां पतञ्जलिं प्राञ्जलिम् आनतोऽस्मि. अथ योगानुशासनं योगश्चित्तवृत्तिनिरोधः तदा दृष्टु स्वरूपे अवस्थानं वृत्तिसारूप्यं यतरत्रः. Vrittayah Panchataya Klishta Klishta. So we are now starting from the Sutra 1.5 and 1.6. We saw the first four, which gives us the definition of what is the yoga discipline is all about. And the goal is to have a Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Then we ask the question, what are the vrittis and how do we do the nirodham, the act of controlling it? So Patanjali started saying, vrittayah, panchatayah, klishta, aklishtaha. So he is giving step by step now. First step he says, the vrittis are fivefold because anything you want to control, you want to know first what they are you are controlling. So we are learning about the content and the type of our thoughts. So he said the first knowledge he gives, all the vrittis that we are going to manage are either klishta or aklishta. Klishta means that which is afflicted, giving us grief. Aklishta means that doesn't give the grief. But we already see this one because no thought by itself is going to give you grief. Is it not? No object is going to give you grief or happiness. This is the way that we handle, the way that we approach, the attitude that we put on anything that gives us the emotions. Therefore, we can immediately take some comfort. The thought itself is not going to be a bad thought or a afflicted thought. The way that we handle the thought, in other words, the gunas in which the thought is residing or rising is important. So therefore, this is the clue we take it. We are going to learn later how we control it. But we discussed that in the last session. If a thought comes out of sattva guna, the guna that is of balance, that is of very cultured approach, very civilized, dharmic approach, you are guaranteed that the thought comes out to you, it will be aklishta. So what can therefore we apply in practical life? If you need to think of something, especially take a big one, big project you want to think of something, you choose the time and the frame of mind when you are in sattvic nature. That's one of the reasons why in our tradition they always give us some timing. It's a good time, it's a bad time. Time is not good or bad. It is letting you to focus. Therefore, if it's a good time means it's auspicious time. So your mind is very pure and you think very clearly. If it is rajasic or tamasic, it is essentially going to be klishta, afflicted. Thought in anger is going to be creating more havoc. Therefore, when you are angry, you can't think. There is a natural inhibitor in our system. If you're very angry, your consciousness is, your mind is pulling back all the emotive part of your bodies so that you can be a little bit sensible. You can't think. Your words clatter. So we are going to go through that in the later part, in the Abhyasa. Then we ask the question, what are those 5 vrittis? So he said, Pramana, Vipaya, Vikalpa, Nidra, Smritaya. So he said 5 are there. First is Pramanam, which is right knowledge. Viparyaya, wrong knowledge, false knowledge, mistaken knowledge. Vikalpa, imaginations. Nidra, thoughtlessness. Smritaya, memory. So this is what we started. He's going to give one after the other. And I had a couple of questions also came on my messaging, and they are very interesting questions. I want to be very careful here because this whole epistemology, this kind of knowledge of understanding this, we can go in a very deep way. But what we are going to do, we don't have a viparita jnana, we will have a right knowledge, but we focus on right level of knowledge. Right level of knowledge means, like, if you are going to step on a puddle of water, right? And there are stepping stones there. Of course, you must know which stepping stone is good enough to put your foot on. That's it. You don't need to know what is the stone made of, how deep it is, and so therefore we just find out what is necessary and step on it. So the first one we saw on 1.7, Pratyaksha Anumana Agama Pramanani. Pramanam means knowledge, right knowledge. Pramanani is a Bhagavachanam, so multiple right knowledge, multiple knowledges here. The right or wrong will come in a minute. Pratyaksham, Anumanam, Agama. So these 3 are considered to be in the Patanjali school as a means to attain the pramana, the right knowledge. Pratyaksha pramana or pratyaksha vritti. Any vritti that is of pratyaksham is going to give you right knowledge. Anumanam is going to give right knowledge. Agamam is going to give right knowledge. Now, how do we know it's going to give right knowledge? First of all, what is knowledge? It is important to take a step back. The reason why we study this, because Patanjali has simplified everything. All your problems, all your klesham, klishtam, all your actions is because of your thought. Thought is all about knowledge. Every thought is giving you knowledge about something, a good knowledge or a bad knowledge, a right knowledge or a wrong knowledge. Since we are going to deal with knowledge and knowledge processing, therefore Vritti Nirodham is basically how we process our thoughts. Therefore the knowledge itself is an important part. So we touched upon the Vedanta session initially, but I just want to recap so that it's very relevant to some of the points that we are going to consider in the next class as well. Everything that we want to know has to be knowable to us. What is knowable? We think everything is knowable. If there's an object, I should know it. This urge for knowledge is intrinsic in our nature. As a child, when a child is born and when it is growing up, it will try to learn everything. It doesn't know how to learn it. So it will take a ball, put in a mouth, or put the food in the ears, and it try to find, in using all its senses and instruments, to find out what is out there. So we don't change, we do the same thing. We want to find out, if there is something out there, I want to know it. The important here is that what is out there? Anything that I can see, I want to see. Anything I can hear, I want to hear. Therefore, if you leave the eating sleeping and enjoying the material object as part of the life as one side, the pursuit of life is all about knowing. So the knowable is a category for the object that we want to know. You can only know what is knowable. Therefore, there must be something unknowable. So we'll see, we come to unknowable what it is. Let's go back to knowable first. So, if I do not know something, I will learn it. If I already know something, I may want to know more about it. Is it not? So, when you do not know something, so suppose somebody asks you, do you know about this particular book? Yeah, I don't know. You say, go and read it, it's a good book. Then I go there, look for the book I do not know before. So 99.9% of the time, the trigger for us to learn is that we know about an unknown. I'm not playing a word game here, but it's very important to say, if I know there is something unknown to me, that itself is a knowledge, it's a good knowledge, positive knowledge, then I will be propelled to know about it. So I go after the unknown. So I say, okay, somebody says, can you make this particular dish? I don't know. Now I know it. So do you know about that particular subject? I don't know. I learn it, I know it. Therefore, I extend my knowledge. So our life, therefore, is extending knowledge about the objects. Sometime you say, yeah, do you know how to do it? Or have you read this book? Do you know this person? Yeah, I know this person. But after the question came to my mind, I said, look, why did he ask about the person? Maybe I should know more about the person. I go deeper. So some of us, sometime, took interest to know about what we already know. So we go into a deeper knowledge. We do a PhD. We do research. We work more and more, narrow down. So therefore, if you look at our material pursuits in life or our scientific pursuits in life, it is always about deeper knowledge about what we know, broader knowledge about what we do not know. But we think everything is knowable. There is nothing unknowable in science because we are out there. There is something out there. As somebody said, why are you going to Mars? And the scientist said, it is because it is there. That's how the human endeavor is. Therefore, in a scientific pursuit, we say everything is knowable. But Vedanta says, no, there are certain things unknowable. What is unknowable? If you are a spiritual person, you will say God. Because everybody says God is unknowable because I can't see him, I can't touch him, I can't hear him. Therefore, God must be unknowable. Or some texts say, he's actually in heaven, in Vaikuntha, at Kailasha. If you do this kind of good deeds, you can probably go there and see him. I don't know. So the unknowable is a unknowable quantity in certain sense. Therefore, we leave the God aside because it's a complex subject. Therefore, there is nothing unknowable in this world. No, but if you think about it, unknowable is yourself, the Atma. Because this question was asked, I know myself. Then we ask the question, who are you? Who am I? Then we get into one big vicious circle. I'm not this body, I'm not this mind. We've gone through all the 9 yards in Tattva Bodha. So this is unknowable. Therefore, we leave God aside, too difficult to comprehend. But it is about me. I must spend time. I am an unknowable. Therefore, if I want to have a complete knowledge, total knowledge, sarvagyan, I should know all that is knowable and somehow know what is unknowable. How can I know unknowable stuff? You cannot know it, but you can realize it. So this is very important. You realize it. For that we go to what's called Atma Jnana. When Bhagavan says, everything that you do, everything you are trying to learn in this world is ajnanam. It's strange, isn't it? So when knowledge is what you get, ajnanam is ignorant, not knowing it. Bhagavan says, Gita, now if you are anything that is Atma Jnanam is only Jnanam, which is Vidya. Sri Vidya, we say, Sri Vidya is Atma Jnanam. Everything else, all other knowledge is called Ajnanam. Why is Ajnanam? It said because anything that hides the true nature of yourself is, in the spiritual parlance, ignorance. But we have to live in this world. Therefore, we need to have the knowledge about the world. We want to have progress. Therefore, we need to know about the Atma. Therefore, we need to know the knowable and unknowable. Atma Jnana. So this is the knowledge. This is what we need to follow. But what Patanjali is now focusing on, okay, this is the knowledge. How am I knowing that I am getting the right knowledge? What is the instrument to get the knowledge? And you're talking about the knowing the unknown, knowing the known, knowing the knower. What is the very act of knowing? This is very important. Jnanam, Jneyam, Parignyada, Trivita, Karma Chodana. Karanam, Karma Karmeti, Trivida, Karma Sangraha. Bhagavan says, knowledge is the act of knowing, the object of knowledge, and the knower. The three putis are there. Same way in karma, the act of doing, the act itself, and the doer. Therefore, we need to have some knowledge about knowing the knowing. This is called epistemology, the art of knowing it, the instruments of knowledge, errors. So how do we know something is right, something is wrong? So there is a whole bunch of knowledge, very deep science in Sanatana Dharma and also in Western science. It's called art of knowing. Now in the next 5 sutras, we are not talking about knowable and unknowable. We are talking about knowing the art of knowing. Sorry if it confuses you, but what you need to remember is we are learning the tools. When you go to the engineering apprentice, they will give you, this is the spanner, this is the screwdriver, this is the tester. You have to use the tools. So that's what you are trying to do. So what are those instruments of knowledge? Pramanam. What are they? First one is perception. Pratyaksham. Pratyaksham is, aksham means the senses. We talked about it already in the last class. A brief recap. This is evident. This is accepted in all schools. That's why this is very prominent. This is whether you believe in Vedas or not. It's agreed. Science is agreeing. It is about seeing, experiencing it direct. Pratyaksha Pramani. Once you have pratyaksha knowledge, using that, when you have not so much clarity of the information coming to you, you can deduce it using your intellect, using a pratyaksha knowledge that you have deposited before, called inference, anumana. This we also thought, we saw it last class. The third one, sometimes you can't see it, sometimes you are not able to deduce it. Therefore, you need the words of somebody who knew it before. It's called agama, which we are going to see it now. It's called verbal testimony. This we do. I mean, we don't call it agama, but somebody tell you something, even your father tells you, the child says, no dad, you're wrong. I saw Google, it says differently. So they don't even take the parent's word, they take a verbal testimony, they believe testimony somewhere in the Google. So we qualify it. So therefore there's a tendency is to go for spoken word as a way to get knowledge. Therefore you need to qualify it. Therefore the epistemology in Vedanta, in Sanatana Dharma, makes it as an agama, a supreme knowledge coming from the Apta Purusha. That is accepted. But we have few other things in Vedanta. We have called upamana. So sometimes we say, oh, the cow is a four-legged animal that you saw, like a buffalo. Well, I know I've seen buffalo and this example here, therefore this is cow. But this is like inference, right? Or a practitioner by inference, some sort of additional work. So some schools don't accept it, but there are specific reasons why this has been taken as a separate pramana in Advaita Vedanta. Same way, arthapatti or postulation. A typical example is that now I'm seeing you every day. You're coming with me to office, and most of the day we spend together. We eat in the canteen together, but I put on weight and you don't put on weight. Then I think something you must be doing in the night. Exercising, over-exercising it. Or you put on weight, for example, maybe something is eating in the night. So I postulate something which doesn't exist. You see, in Anumana, I see a smoke, then I create an inference. Here nothing exists, abhavam is taken. I've not seen him eating, but he's putting on weight. Therefore, this is called arthapatti. But again, this is also taken as a part of the inference. The last one is anupalapti. Non-apprehension. You don't even see it. Abhavam. Patanjali uses it in one of those thing there, but this is not taken as a pramana. So you can forget all this. We can just focus on these three. 1, 2, and 3. We saw pratyaksha. Pratyaksha, anumana, pramani. Pratyaksha pramana we saw. This is where the jnana indriyas, your 5 senses, they go out, get some knowledge, comes back to you. And we saw some special nature of this. Whenever you see something, you see a particular aspect of it. Visesha pradhana. You don't see, I saw humanity. I saw Naresh, I saw Balaji, I saw Krishna. Because every time the moment your mind is focused, your senses focus, it becomes objectified. When you objectify it, it becomes a speciality. The reason why we insist on it, because in yoga, in upasana, we are going to move from the microcosmic to macrocosmic vision. We are able to move from specificity to generality. So pratyaksha pramanam therefore focuses on mind and senses to a specific stuff. And we also thought every time you see a knowledge, the supplementary knowledge comes. I see the sun, then I also know I am seeing the sun. I know the sun. So the I comes in. This is the mind created vikalpam, it is. But this consciousness happened because of the Purusha. So this much we know, that's enough. Then Anumana also we saw. We took an example of the smoke and we gone through certain steps. The important in Anumana is what's called the Vyapti, the concomitance. If there is a smoke, there is a fire. Therefore, I see smoke, there is a fire. If there is something created, there must be a creator. World is created, therefore there must be a creator, there is a God. You see? These are Anumana. So there is a Vyapti, there is a reason, and then you deduce it. This is also a right knowledge. You go for it. Then we come to Agama. This is a matter or information gained by somebody whom we call a Apta Purusha. The very word up, the root up means to acquire, to get, to accomplish. An accomplished person who might have seen in Pratyaksha Pramana or Anumana Pramana some knowledge, and he transfers into another. See, this is something crazy, These days we don't have this upanyasas and satsang lectures. See, these days we have tools, right? We have tools. And we don't even remember the telephone numbers of anybody. You realize it once the phone is off. You don't even know how to call them, because we have taken the tools to a level where we don't commit to the memory anything. See how dangerous it is, because we know mind creates samskaras create emotions, behavior. Therefore, personality is what we put in the mind. And if you don't put anything in the mind, everything is offline, Google, in the cloud somewhere. What's happening is that your mind is not exercised. In those days, it was not like this. It was taught. Bhagavadas comes in, lectures come in, upanyasam, discourses happen, Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita, Satsang. They will give stories, they will give you knowledge, they feed you. Apta Purusha, Agama Vakya. Agama means that which comes in. It's not acquired, it just, see, that's why it says transfer knowledge into another. It's not enforced on you. You just sit there, listen to it. Suppose I am saying something to you, or say yes, Apta Purusha is saying something, and we are listening to him. So when he says something, he says because his vritti, right? His thoughts comes in, and he says it. That knowledge comes to you. That means that vritti comes to you. That vritti jumps to you. Like COVID jumps to another, the cold virus jumps to another. Knowledge jumps to us. So Agama Pramanam is very important Pramanam. In our culture, Agamam is Vedas, Shastras, Smritis, Aptavakyas, Aptavachanas, Shapta Pramana. But you may ask the question, but this is also, is it somebody's Pratyaksha Pramana sometime? Therefore, Agama is nothing but a Pratyaksha Pramana. Yes, logically if you approach it, it's a Pratyaksham of that Rishi Pratyaksham, Yogi Pratyaksham. But Yogi Pratyaksham is very different. Pratyaksham requires external object, known, knowable. But we are talking about the Sarvajñas here. Sarvajñas know, knowable and unknowable. Therefore, it is Aparusheya. That's why Vedas call it Aparusheya. So when you are not seeing external object, it comes to you from Atma, it becomes an Aparusheya. So we have to really take the Agamas. And also other important point, there are certain knowledge nobody can teach you. Is there any? Yes, Atma Jnanam, about Ishvara. There is no words, it's indescribable. Nirguna, Nirvikara, Nirvikalpa. Therefore we need to trust. But the trust, for us the Agama, the Apta Purushas are the parents. We don't need to really struggle hard, because when you are born, the child looks at the mother as the Apta Purusha. Parents are the Apta Purushas. Whatever the parents say, we listen, we take it. See, the Shraddha is an inherent nature of us. Ashraddha, is the poison which comes to us. If you don't have Shraddha, you can't live. How can I drink a coffee, Has it be poisoned? I drink it. So, Agama Pramanam is very natural for us, but we get resistance when it is said. We basically say, oh, this is not scientific. We have this kind of a approach. Vedas, not scientific. Why? It is not scientific. Don't try to prove it to them. Vedas are scientific. People try to prove it to them. Vedas are scientific. It's like quantum physics. We compare all these things. Don't do that. Scientific means it is about knowledge about knowables. It is limited in time and space. Agamas are not scientific. They are parascientific, trans-scientific, transcendental. Of course, it can tell you, it can give you, Newton was sitting there. Newton as a rishi, he didn't have this Google map or Google cloud storage, and he need to think. Every day he need to think about why the apple fell down. He could not sleep. The nature then revealed to him. Because you are asking me why that fell down. Let me reveal to you, my child, it was unknowable, but I make it knowable to you. I have a force called gravity. Everything came to his mind. Then, rest is history. It's a very great insight here. What it means is that the unknowables are infinite. If you only yearn for it, no teacher can give you, no book can give you, but a book or a teacher will be sent to you by nature to reveal it to you. Agama comes in. That's why it's called Agama. It just comes in to your mind. Tasma Sastram Pramanam Te Karya Vyastito. Bhagavan says in the 18th chapter, if you need to do karyam akaryam, if you want to do something or don't want to do anything, for you, don't take my word for it. Who is saying this? Bhagavan is saying this. Don't take my word for it. Pramanam te. So, pramanam is therefore, in the agamam, is very important point. That's what Patanjali is saying here. This is very important move from Sankhya philosophy. Because when it comes to agama, then Ishvara comes in. Ishvara pranidhanam, just now we heard that word. It's not going to come in yoga because that's why Patanjali's Yoga Shastram is very appealing to Vedanta, because it is not void of agama, not void of Ishvara. Because when you read all the Chitta Vritti Nirodham, all this Abhyasa, sometimes it frightens for the uninitiated. Am I able to do this? Am I able to do the penance? Tapas, can I do that? Then you said, maybe I will not do it. No, you can do it. Because you take one step, 10 steps within nature will take it. It will take it away. So agama is important. So this is important. This is not related to, not available in other pramana. Now, what does it mean? That means if I take a Vedas, everything I get is not in any other books? Yes. But therefore it says, say the truth, Satyam Vada, Dharmam Chara, it all comes in Vedas, but it also comes in Bible, it also comes in my school moral science. It's not a new science, it's a common sense. Yes, it contains common sense. But there is something beyond that. So Vedas giving you the common sense, but it also gives you uncommon sense. Example, it tells you, you have another life. You can go to Swarga, you can go to hell, you can go to heaven if you do these things. How can you prove it? No other books can give you the knowledge. It's available only in Vedas. Therefore, you got to put Shraddha into this and then experiment on this. So you go by this step by step. So therefore, Veda Shastram, a lot of Vadyas, they teach Purohits in India. Sometimes we look down upon them because we are college educated, we have PhDs and MBAs, and these people just say some mantras and Sanskrits and slokas. No. They have sacrificed this to go for they left the apramana, go for the pramana and learn these things. So Agama Shastris are the reverential people, we should respect them. So now we move to the next one. So we take this Pramanam as a right knowledge until it is proven to be invalid. How does it get proven to be invalid? Because something else comes and say that it is better. So this is where the subsequent thing going to come. So even though it is viparyaya, vikalpa, nidra, smriti, please think all this as part of the pramanam. Even though it is as a separate one, there is also a pramanam until proven to be a pramanam. Understand? So viparyaya, mithya jnanam, tatarupa pratishta. Viparyaya means perverse cognition, erroneous cognition, wrong idea, suspicious idea. This happens. But you may not know when the cognition comes in. It could be a pratyaksha pramanam, but it has proven to be a viparyaya. I look at it there and I see Jacob is coming. I see him, he's 6 foot tall, he's coming. And I realize that no, he's not that, somebody else. So during the duration, it's a viparyaya. A pratyaksha pramanam comes in, no, this is not Jacob, this is Victor. It smashes it away. But during the time, so we are talking about every moment of your mind. We don't wait for viparyaya to settle down and dies down, but we need to manage ourselves in every second. Therefore, we are trying to avoid, if we know it's a viparyaya thought, we want to do something with that. And he uses the word mithya jnanam. I know a lot of people have commented on this thing and in so many different ways, and we will take a very gentle approach to this. Here this mithya has nothing to do with the Vedanta mithya. So let's just take it as one word. Mithya jnanam is false knowledge, not right. But in order for you to understand the next one, vikalpa, I want to take you back to the Vedanta. First thing you must understand, we will have false knowledge as a part of our learning. That's fine. Don't need to be ashamed of it. But sooner we know it's a false knowledge, first of all, we should know if the knowledge is afflicted or not afflicted. Klishta or aklishta. If it's klishta, we should try to drop it. If aklishta, we have it. But then if it's a false knowledge, we need to find a way to convert it to right knowledge. What is false? What is right? It's a very different question. What is right? What is wrong? What is real? What is unreal? For a child, a cartoon character is a real one. When you play Monopoly, for example, when a child, I know, and I fought for the money because for the money is asset. That when you play with a child as a father, Monopoly is just a game. You know it, you can distance yourself. So the reality changes. So you remember we saw in Vedanta 4 modes of reality. I simplify it now. What we have is a reality, empirical reality. So the reality that we have is Vyavaharika Satya, practical reality. That means my pratyaksha pramanam is active. I can touch and feel it. Transactional world. That's what is false reality. So as long as you live, your whole domain of knowledge is within this world, time and space. There is nothing else. Fine. Charvakas take the approach. Reality is what you see. Life is an accident. Once you're dead, you are gone. You are no more there. But we are better than that. Then I want to say potentiality. Potentiality is something that is not come to reality, but it potentially can come to reality. What is an example? A seed is an example. If you take a seed, it's not pratyaksha pramanam because you can't see anything inside the seed, but there's a tree inside. So therefore you have to use your anumanam or agama pramanam, aptavakya, and say, okay, this seed will become a tree. So therefore there is a reality of the seed, but it is a potentiality. It's called sadhyat sata. I didn't discuss it in the Vedanta class purposely, but we will talk about it later when it's appropriate. Because this one is avyaktam, hidden, and then becomes a tree, vyaktam. It's a danger of taking the example to Atma, because the seed, when it becomes a tree, the seed is not anymore. The seed transforms into a tree. There's a transformation. Parinamam happens. The reality changes. The cause has become the effect. Of course, there's another seed will come. That's Vedanta. Let's not go there. But for this purpose now, there's a potentiality. Therefore, a knowledge can be right or wrong depending on whether you are talking about the reality plane or a potentiality plane. As an example, I just come from the Vedanta class and I bought a walnut, for example. I gave it to my child. She's eating walnut, reality. Nice walnut. I say, no, this is a tree. She doesn't understand. Dad, you are lying. Wrong. False knowledge. But I am in the potentiality plane. I look at it, the potentiality of it. Mithya jnanam in reality. But then see, our mind, when you're looking for knowledge, why we have all these different schools of thought, different debates, it's because it's all our problem. We create this problem. What is the problem? We are not satiable with what we get. We look for perfection. Everybody, illiterate, literate, good person, bad person, no matter. Everybody is looking for perfection. Everybody is looking for artha, but not ordinary artha, paramartha. Now, artha means the resource, the means, the meaning. You are never satisfied with the meaning of any word. You always try to find what is the other word of it, other meaning of it. If you say this is water, reality, drink it. Yeah. I look at the cloud, dark cloud, potentiality. I can say, hey, water is there on the sky. It's a potentiality. Then I can say, well, it is essentially hydrogen and oxygen. The essentiality of it, let's stop it there, for example. Suppose our knowledge is limited there. Hydrogen and oxygen, their essentiality. See, now I say something in the essential nature of it, it becomes a mithya jnanam in the potential nature of it. It's called paramarthika satyam, parama artham. The supreme, you can't go beyond that. So if you start looking for things, meaningful life, I'm looking for what is the meaning of this life? Well, good question. Don't ever think that that's a bad question. The meaning, you are looking for the paramartham of the life. The paramartham will become paramatma. There is a subtle change happen. Let's not go there. But accept that if you want to define the life now, your life is looking for paramartham, the supreme address of it. That's why even whatever Patanjali says would all go to yogic pratyaksham. Everything else will have falling down at some stage. But for you and I, this is fine. But we are not upwards. We are always downwards. Illusory. Remember the word we used in Tubodha? Pratibhashikam. Pratibhashikam. Bhashikam means apasham. Wrong. Typical example, that pole is not Jacob. The pole is Jacob. That rope is snake. That shell is a silver. There is water. Is a oasis, a mirage, say water. Or this person is a bad person. Of course, that's also pratibhashikam. Because you identified, you had a filter, your mind was a klishtam, not a klishtam, my thought. I just finished my fight with my worker or something. My mind is clouded. I see somebody, I got angry. So my anger projects on him. I see him as an angry person. If you ask a very simple question, you ask, I took him as an angry question. I bounce on him. Pratibhashikam. Illusory. So that's why here the mithya jnanam is purely a false knowledge. Therefore, we have to, is a illusory knowledge, pratibhashika knowledge for reality. We should remove that. He says, atat rupaka. Tat rupaka. Rupakam, rupa means the nature, the form. Tat rupam, that form. Atat rupam, not that form. That means you see something else for something else. Pradishtam, established. So I just now told you, if you look at the rope and you see as a snake, you are not seeing rope, you are seeing snake. So that's tat rupa pradishtam. Or you can also put on the other end, tat rupa apradishtam. Tat rupa pradishtam. Rupa pradishtam means established, a form. Rupam, a form. Pradishtam, established. A form established. Which form? Tat atat rupa pradishtam. What is real? Real is the pole or the rope. What I thought, Peter or a snake. Atat rupam. That's the first one. Or tat rupa apradishtam. It is Peter. Tat rupa is Peter. But pradishtam is something else. So it's just a literal meaning, but basically it means you think something for something else. False knowledge without a basis in the nature of the form is called viparyaya. Again, it is object oriented. You can't think of wrong knowledge about a non-object. It's always object. But the Bhashyam also talks about suspicion as a part of viparyaya. Would that be this or that? If you suspect like this, that thought itself also is a false knowledge. Viparya knowledge, not false knowledge, viparyayam. That means it is not right knowledge yet. It could be right or it could be false. Kind of a in between. But there is no practical use of it. We will invent some practical use when you do the abhyasam. But generally, it's of no practical use. We therefore remove it. So we go to next one. Let me just get time. 10 minutes. So next one. Sabda jnananupati vastu sunya vigalpaka. Again, very simple one. Shabda jnana. Shabda means a meaningful word here. Not dhvani. Dhvani is just a noise. Shabda jnana is word knowledge. From the word knowledge, if you get a knowledge, it's called vikalpaka. Suppose I say apple and you get apple knowledge, is it vikalpam? No, because the next word is important. It depending on anupati vastu shunyo. That means it has no object. There is no object connected to that. But you are imagining that. So some scholars have very different way of interpreting. Every imagination is vikalpa. No, that's not correct. If imagining that I am standing on top of the mountain, that vikalpa is not what we're talking about. That's a false knowledge, false thinking. You're not standing on the mountain. Here is about you're creating a knowledge from a word, a meaningful word, from anybody. It could be a Shabda Pramanam or Aptavakyam. There is no object, but you have a thought. How can it be? Ishvara, Atma. What thought comes to you? When I say Ishvara, you think about Lord Muruga, Lord Shiva, because you are thinking from your memory, Smriti, the image you saw. It's not it's not a Vikalpam. Vikalpam is where there is no object attached to it. We can take one step lower. Let's take to our level. Every conceptualization is called Vikalpam. Again, Sanskrit has got a rich language, so many different words. In Bhagavatam, for example, there are 3 words: is Mahakalpam, Kalpam, and Vikalpam. Mahakalpam, Vikalpam, and Kalpam. Mahakalpam is the period, the time where the Purusha, Mahapurusha, the Paramatma decides to create duality. Purusha comes in Prakriti, Vyaktam, Avyaktam going to come out in a colossal way. Pictorially, it is a one breathing of Mahavishnu, according to Bhagavatam. Then, in that, many Brahmas come in. So every Brahma creates Vikalpam. Brahma is what? Brahma has come from is Mahavishnu's navel. Remember that? Mooladharam. Here we talked about Para, Pashyandi, Masyama, Vaigra. So this Shakti of Jnanam comes from here. That's why Saraswati was an escort to Brahma. Knowledge. What does he do? Brahma conceptualize. So I was created. When he came out as a child, he was asking, Kaha? Who am I? So his name is Kasya. Brahma's name is Kasya. Then with the Paramatma's grace, he conceptualized the world. Vikalpam. So the whole world is called Vikalpam. This is in a Vedantic perspective. That means the whole world is imagination. Think about it. See, you can say everything is real. Then you must accept the reality keep changing. If everything is changing is what is called truth, yes, then everything is truth. No argument. But if you want to differentiate, everything that which does not change is truth and everything else is something other than the truth, then you need to look at it. You have a word, you use the word mithya. Mithya is not lie, mithya is relative truth. You saw that before. Therefore here Vikalpa is the huge imagination of Brahma. Then Brahma is breathing, and every one breath, exhalation is one kalpa. So kalpa has got many yugas. Yugas got many years. So then we have so our life is very small. We are not live 120 years or whatever we live. So many such years of life becomes yuga, many yugas becomes a kalpa, many kalpas becomes a vikalpa. So this is how the Bhagavata takes it up. We also use the word, when you do this puja, we do sankalpa. That the kalpa, sankalpa means good concept, good determination. You've taken a concept and you close it in your hand that I am bringing all your Anendriyam, Karmendriyam, all close it together. I am having it now, I am going to act upon it. Sankalpams are very important. You don't take sankalpam very easily. I will study. Sankalpa means you will study. So here, Again, you are conceptualizing it because you have not done it. When you take a sankalpa, you have not finished it. You're conceptualizing it. So here the imagination has got a very different name. Again, here you think about Vastu Shunya. That is Vikalpa. It's very important to understand because I would probably stop it here because I will just talk about a few words on it. It's a good break here. In Vedanta, Vikalpam is used extensively. But I'll give you some pointers to say why. Okay, you understand Pramana, Pratiksha Pramana. They're all very tangible through inference or through Vedas. Get right knowledge. Fine, we know it. Then Viparyaya is the false knowledge. But both Pramana and Viparyaya has object oriented. Whereas Vikalpa has no object. So therefore, when I think I do not know about God, I do not know about heaven. There's no object of heaven. I can imagine heaven. Now that is not Viparyaya by definition. Therefore, that means you don't really negate it. Whereas when I am imagining that, I have a horn or something like that, that is wrong knowledge because I can prove it. Somebody can tell me, I see you have no knowledge. Because another pramana can come and invalidate in Viparyaya. Vikalpa you cannot. Because Vikalpa is my imagination. That's why Vikalpa becomes a philosophical armor. That's why Ramanuja can argue with Shankara. You can argue with me. I can argue with you because you can imagine something. So Vikalpa becomes a philosophical understanding, conceptualization of thoughts for which there is no object. But then there is insight here again. Okay, object, I can think of God in some way, but I cannot objectifying it. You try to objectify it, then you know that is not God. Therefore, you go back to an objectless place. But where does the Vikalpa therefore drive you? Drive you towards knowledge about a non-object. What is a non-object? Is subject. What is subject? The one who knows. Who is the one knowing it? You and I. The Atma. But Atma is unknowable. Yes. Now you see, Vikalpa allows me to think about the unknowables and take me there. You see, therefore, Vikalpam is to be nurtured and cultivated because, of course, if it is also klishtam, then we should destroy it. If it is going to cause you trouble, if I am imagining my God asked me to slaughter you because you are a non-believer, that's not Vikalpam, that is Viparyayam. Because we need to understand this because we are going to find exercise to convert all our thoughts to be positive thoughts, aklishta thoughts. So Vikalpa is therefore imaginary cognition, but we take it in a spiritual plane. Therefore, when they ask you to imagine Rasa Leela, imagine Gopikas dancing with Krishna. You don't say, oh, I'm a rational person. Why am I dancing it? This is crazy. No, because you're doing Vikalpam. You're trying to bring your mind. Remember Newton? Because tapas is that. Tapas is not slogging, not eating the food. Of course, that's part of it. Tapas is all about intensity of purpose. Just holding on to that you want to get. Not letting it go. Just mere holding it is enough. It will reveal because the compassionate Mother Nature, Prakriti and Purusha cannot let you suffer. Therefore, you can use any tool, pramanam, yeah, agamam, yes, vikalpam, yes, provided you have based this. See, vikalpam doesn't come from pramana or anumana. It doesn't come from pramana or viparya. It comes from agama. So I bet pratyaksha. So come from agama. When good words are spoken, where the object is not heard, that's why they call it shabda pramana. Sometimes they say shabda pramana, but don't take it as a meaningless words. Shabdartha pramanam. Shabdam and artham has to be together. When we come to the yogic state, then the artham will be visible even in aksharam. Those aksharam becomes a bijakshara. Like like I told you about the seed. The seed contains a tree. So now they will say, okay, don't need to say all this, Sahasranamam 200 times or the mantram, not even a Gayatri mantra, 24 letters, just check this one aksharam, claim, om, whatever they say, bijaksharam. Because that contains the tree. What is a tree? Remember, this is why I was very careful. The tree is not the tree which is going through parinam and becomes, the seed is not a thing, becomes a tree, but it is Parabrahman, which is always there. So I think I will stop it here because it's a good time. So in the next class we will see some more of the vikalpa. Then we understand a little bit difficult one, but it's interesting one, is nidra and smriti. So I would actually recommend you to go take simple steps, because I think otherwise it will be very overbearing, confusing it. It has to be really applicable to you, because if you accumulate lots of money, I put in Jersey, Isle of Wight and all these things in stocks and everything, and watching it every day, and one day I'm just gone. I didn't have wealth. I had a burden. I had to escort it. Why? Because I did not use it. Knowledge is also exactly the same. People sometimes think, no, I just read it. No, I'm not practicing it. What's the point? Knowledge is much, much bigger problem than the money, because once we go dead, money is gone. We don't need to worry about insurance and anything. But knowledge is going to come as a vasana. So therefore, I think every knowledge we get, we must find a way to apply it. So much so is Patanjali Sutram. Therefore, we take small steps. So contemplate on pramanas, contemplate on viparya, contemplate vikalpa. As an exercise, when the thoughts come to you, try to categorize them. Maybe 5 minutes a day. Next 5 days, 25 minutes. Is it aklishta or klishta? Is it pramana or viparya or vikalpa? Or is it pratyaksham or anumana or agama? I think that exercise will be a very good thing there. So we stop it there. Om Asadoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya
Jyotirgamaya
Mrityoma Amritam Gamaya
Amritamgamaya
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti